Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh, and this is your stimulus check update for the next stimulus package for Monday, October 26th. I hope everyone is off to a good and safe start to their Monday so far, and that you all have a wonderful week ahead. In this video, I'll be discussing updates in regards to the next relief package and the second stimulus check. I'll also be discussing unemployment, what Nancy Pelosi is now having to say about passing the next relief package before the election, and then I'll be wrapping up this video by answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. But first, if you wouldn't mind real quickly liking this video, give me a big thumbs up. It really just helps with the YouTube algorithm in terms of pushing this video out to other viewers like you, and hopefully helping other people like you as well. Okay, so on CNN's State of the Union, Nancy Pelosi was asked if a deal would not be passed until after the election, since her 48-hour deadline has been ended without a deal in place. Pelosi responded by saying that she'll never give up hope because she's optimistic, and then she kind of went off into a spiel about what's needed in order to crush the virus. She said working families are suffering, millions more into poverty, so we have to act, Pelosi said. So from all that, it sounds like Pelosi very well knows all these suffering American families are going through, and if this was the first time I've ever tuned into the stimulus-related news, I'd say she's a pretty reasonable person and would want her negotiating over the next relief package. But it turns out she knows exactly what Americans are going through, but despite all that, we still have a bill that's being held up over a couple of very minor issues. Another thing that we learned in this interview is that the testing language still hasn't been agreed to, even though we thought this past week that they had finally agreed to something. Supposedly, it was just the funding for state and local government, as well as the liability provisions for business owners that still needed to be agreed to. Turns out, we have another issue that hasn't been resolved. This is really just too bad. Let's think of it this way. If any of us at our jobs had 6 to 7 months to accomplish something, maybe a project with other coworkers for example, and we failed to do so, then we would be out of a job. Sure, we may not have had the same ideas or have gotten along with our coworkers the best, but we would find a way to work together and finish the project. These elected officials have been given over 1/2 of a year to reach a bipartisan agreement on a stimulus bill since the CARES Act passed, and they failed to do so. It's absolutely ridiculous how they've been able to get away with it. And really, it just goes to show once again how government can never be counted on. Our local communities and churches can be counted on much more than the government ever can, and that's why I'll never personally be in favor of big government. In the interview, Pelosi also noted that the Trump administration has still not moved closer to the Democrats' goals in relief negotiations. She said that they keep moving the goalpost and that she's hoping to get a reply from Steven Mnuchin at some point today about a list of concerns she sent to him on Friday. But again, these two have been talking for how long now? I've joked in the past that I wonder what these two have even been talking about over the past several months in these hour-long phone calls. It can't possibly be over relief negotiations if they still haven't come to an agreement. I feel like, with the holidays right around the corner, they just really need someone to be with. Which, of course, also gave me a pretty good laugh when I ran across this article on The Onion titled "Steve Mnuchin, Nancy Pelosi announced meeting to put finishing touches on 1,000-piece Starry Night jigsaw puzzle." Yeah, I wonder how long it would take them to accomplish that. I can just imagine those two fighting over which pieces go where, or if they should start with the corner pieces or the middle pieces. Of course, then they would begin arguing over things not even related to the puzzle. Gotta love our government. In all seriousness though, the lack of urgency among our lawmakers is quite alarming. Sure, we have lawmakers on both sides urging them to come to an agreement, but with all talk and no real action, what's the point? We saw the Problem Solvers Caucus, a group made up of both Republicans and Democrats, reach an agreement on a bill, and then Nancy Pelosi never even took it seriously. I mean, when you have members of your own party come back to you with a bill they thought was fair and something that was bipartisan to help American families out, and you completely dismiss it, what does that say? I totally get that Pelosi wants to crush the virus and fight for every single penny in this next package, but is it really helping if it takes several months in order to get the other side to agree? If I can get American families another round of stimulus payments and extend the federal unemployment benefits today by just agreeing with what's on the table, or I can wait several more months to get a few more dollars, I'm taking the deal today. American families are struggling today. They needed the help 6 months ago, not 6 months from now. So with that said, I'm guessing not too many people will be overly excited about Nancy Pelosi announcing she would be running for the House Speaker position again if Democrats retain their House majority in November's election. So it doesn't sound like she's ready to give up her position of leadership anytime soon. Now, Pelosi did say that if no virus relief bill is passed before the election, they would keep pressing for an agreement during the lame duck session after the election. Pelosi went on to say that they would not wait until January, even if Biden took over the White House and they gained control over the Senate as well. So I'm not sure if that means she'll be more willing to compromise if nothing gets done come November and December, or if she's just sounding out words of confidence. With the way things are going, it's hard saying when exactly these two sides are going to reach an agreement. It's apparent both sides are in favor of additional stimulus, but reaching the final agreement has been like pulling hairs. With that said, our only hope is that the two sides can continue bridging the gap over the next week and finally end up reaching some type of an agreement in the final week of October. In the meantime, all we can continue to do is hang in there, stay strong, and hope for the best. In unemployment news, we are still waiting on one state in Alaska to begin sending out benefits from the Lost Wages Assistance Program. Luckily for the residents in Alaska, they should begin receiving their benefits at some point this week. If you live in one of the other states and still haven't received your payment, more than likely it's because you're not receiving at least $100 in weekly state unemployment insurance benefits, or you haven't certified for the benefits through your state's online portal. Finally, since the other states have already completely exhausted their benefits from the Lost Wages Assistance Program, we'll now have to wait on Congress to finally pass another bill to extend these benefits on a longer term, more stable basis. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to move right along to answering some of the comments and questions that I received in my previous video. And if you do have any other comments or questions for me, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I do try to answer as many of the comments and questions as I possibly can, but for those comments and questions I'm not able to respond to, I do try to pick some of the more popular ones to answer in the next video in video form. Okay, so without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the first comment of today's video, which is from Stacy. Stacy says, I got my first stimulus check this year. Since I got my first stimulus check, am I qualified for 2 stimulus checks because I am on Social Security? Thank you so much for your question, Stacy, and if you received the first stimulus check, then you should also be eligible for the second stimulus check as well. This includes people on Social Security benefits, such as SSI and SSDI as well. This has been confirmed by the likes of Steven Mnuchin, who has said that everyone who received the first stimulus check should also be eligible for the second stimulus payment as well. Okay, moving right along to the next question of today's video, which is from Triple. Triple says, when did the checks come out? Thank you so much for your question, Triple, and at the moment, there is no clear-cut timeline for when the second stimulus payments will begin to arrive. At the moment, the two sides are still working on the final details of the next relief package. Once they work those details out, the bill will need to pass through the House, the Senate, and be signed by the President before the bill becomes a law. Once that happens, stimulus checks should begin to go out a week or two after that. Okay, moving right along to the next question of today's video, which is from David. David says, I'm on SSDI and have been paying back child support. Will I receive any money from this second stimulus check, or will it all go to child support like the last $1,200 did? My children are over 21 years old. Thank you so much for your question, David, and I'm so sorry that your first stimulus payment was garnished. At the moment, it still hasn't been determined whether or not those with past due child support will have their stimulus payments garnished this time around. Now, in recent proposals by Democrats, they make it so those with past due child support would not have their stimulus payments garnished. However, in recent proposals by Republicans, they make it so those with past due child support would have their stimulus payments garnished. So in the end, it's really going to come down to whatever the two sides decide on. Since the CARES Act was a bipartisan bill and stimulus payments were garnished for those with past due child support, it's my best guess that in the end, they'll be garnished the next time around as well. However, with that said, that is always subject to change, so I'll definitely keep you updated one way or another. Alright, moving right along to the last question of today's video, which is from Anthony. Anthony says, what if someone claims you as a dependent without you knowing? What can you do about that? Thank you for your question, Anthony, and it really depends on the situation. If they're claiming you as a dependent within completely legal means, then there's really not much you can do. What I mean by that is if they can legally claim you as the dependent, then there's not much you can do in that case. However, if they can't legally claim you as the dependent, meaning that you have no dependency on them, then I would recommend that you contact the IRS since this would be fraud on their part. There should be some forms they'll have you fill out, and once you do so, at that point you should then be eligible for the stimulus payment since you cannot be legally claimed as a dependent. If you see this, which I hope you do, please keep me updated on the situation and I'll try to help you out along the way. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did enjoy the content in this video and you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. It is completely free to do so and it's a great support to me. Also, if you'd like to receive 2 free stocks from Webull, with both stocks valued all the way up to $1,600, please feel free to claim those 2 free stocks by clicking the link in the description box below. And until next time, I'll see you guys and I hope you have a great day today.